1 year ago, I decided to take a bold step not many have taken before and officially entered the Blumhouse, diving in to investigate the productions of one of the most prolific horror production houses in the industry. And today, I'm opening up another case file. So what does this mean? Well, it means I've been at this channel long enough, we now have access to the concept of annual traditions. 1 year closer to death, and 1 year closer to the maggots eating away the bodies I buried in the forest and completely erasing all records of my misdeeds. Last year, we looked at Blumhouse's slasher nostalgia remake trilogy of Happy Death Day, Freaky, and Totally Killer. And I guess Jason Blum didn't like that because when I went to Horror Nights this year, I was confronted by Catherine Newton's character wielding a fucking chainsaw. But I'm not easily scared, so this year we're back for round 2, and we're going to be looking at the crown jewel of Blumhouse's catalog. So, welcome to chapter 2 of my Blumhouse Shittiverse series, The Foundation. Why is it called this, you may ask? Well, I know it's been about 5 years since the last Purge movie came out, and 12 years since the first one released, so a lot of you were little fucking babies, or maybe too young to give a shit, but the first Purge was a cultural phenomenon. And I know, technically Paranormal Activity put Blumhouse on the map and they made like 1 million of those fucking movies, but at the end of the day, it's just 90 minutes of security camera footage and a ghost trying to fuck some guy in the butt while he's sleeping. It got the ball rolling, but it didn't make Blumhouse into the beast it is today. What I'm trying to say is that every Blumhouse needs a Blum Foundation, and that's what The Purge ended up being for them. The Purge is what I call a concept movie, meaning that this shit probably wasn't pitched or greenlit because of an incredible presentation going over the complex characters and narrative. James DeMonaco probably just walked up to Jason Blum and was like, yeah, so it's a home invasion movie set in a world where once a year all crime is made legal for 8 hours, and the contract was probably signed before you even finished the sentence. And I admit, it's a great concept. And what do studios do when they stumble onto a great concept? Beat it like a pimp with a $5 hooker until they get every last penny out of it. The first Purge film is very quaint and modest compared to what it would become. It's odd to describe a movie about a murder holiday as reserved, but that's all I can think of when comparing it to the later entries. I think it's funny that such a massive concept was used on such a small scale story. It almost feels like they were writing this simple home invasion movie, and at one point they thought, why haven't the cops shown up yet? And the other writer went, I guess crime is legal, but like only for that night. And the rest is history. The movie released, made way more money than it cost to produce, so they upped the budget for the sequel, and they got to make much better use of the concept. We're gonna go over the plot of the movie, but before we do, it's recommended that I take a second to ask you guys to subscribe. It only takes a second, and it costs nothing, and it puts me in a good mood, so I probably won't do anything to the sweatshop workers that I have editing this video. I'm also going to recommend you a previous video. I'm gonna link it in the description and try to put up a tag. It's a breakdown just like this one about a forgotten 80s Christmas horror movie about a samurai ghost. So if that sounds like something you'd want to watch, I'll try to have something on screen for you to click. But back to the plot. It's fairly simple. We follow an upper-class nuclear family unit locked in their house on the night of the Purge. The family consists of Ethan Hawke, a guy who sells Purge security systems for a living, his stay-at-home wife, Cersei Lannister, and their 2 kids, Zoe and Charlie. They're safe inside their home, but when the son Charlie allows a homeless man being chased by purgers inside, Ethan Hawke is given the choice of handing the man over or being killed. The movie has a few subplots going on. One involves his 15-year-old daughter who is in a relationship with an 18-year-old named Henry. The Purge is a very socially minded movie, so what does it have to say about this? I mean, we know that Ethan Hawke doesn't approve of this relationship, but he's pretty much just mildly annoyed that his daughter is being preyed on by an 18-year-old. And I don't want to hear nothing about no Romeo and Juliet laws or nothing like that. I might be a wanted criminal in over 18 countries, but like you have to have standards. This is even more weird when you watch the movie and the daughter feels oddly sexualized. Like she's dressed in a stereotypical sexy schoolgirl outfit. Like, who directed this? Zack Snyder? The scene of her making out with the 18-year-old is played like the typical horny scene in every other horror movie, and they never make this dynamic feel like they think it's creepy or wrong. In fact, you kind of get the sense that the movie wants you to think Ethan Hawke is in the wrong for not approving, like he's this close-minded father and he just needs to learn to let go of things like the age of consent. Towards the start of the film, the boyfriend takes his opportunity during the purge and tries to kill Ethan Hawke for standing in the way of his relationship. He is not treated like the villain for being with a younger girl. He is the villain because he tried to kill Ethan Hawke. You could have made him 17 and nothing would have changed in the script except for one number. At the same time, the son Charlie causes the inciting incident of this film by allowing the homeless man being chased into the house. Charlie is a widely despised character. When researching for this video, I saw tons of posts expressing their deep-rooted hatred for Charlie, and even a Reddit post from over 10 years ago that was still getting comments. So why do people hate him? I mean, there's a lot of reasons. When we're introduced to the character, we see that he uses this remote control car with a camera on it and a mutilated doll to creep around the house. Looks like some shit Sid from Toy Story would make. So you may be led to believe that Charlie is a disturbed individual, but we quickly learn that he's actually compassionate and opposes the purge even at this young age. After letting the man inside the house, he continues to help him hide from the family to keep him from being turned over to the purgers. People despise characters whose illogical actions put the main cast in danger. It is a surefire way to make a character hateable. So as soon as the guys are let into the house, the 18-year-old boyfriend decides to shoot Ethan Hawke, who just fucking blasts him in return, and in the confusion the man escapes. And to be more specific, and for the sake of brevity, I will be referring to him as the vet going forward. While the dust settles, the front door is approached by the group that was pursuing him, dubbed the Freaks. Throughout the movie, the head of this group, labeled the Polite Leader, communicates with Ethan Hawke through the Ring doorbell. And this motherfucker is probably responsible for 50% of this film's success. I remember when this movie came out, he was everywhere. People dressed as him for Halloween, people wanted him to play the Joker, people thirsted after him, and I won't lie, he's a good character. He strikes the perfect balance between serious and corny, both in his performance and monologues. See, the Polite Leader isn't some maniac, someone acting out of lunacy. He's a well-mannered individual, it's in his name. Unlike a lot of other villains, he doesn't have some grand message or point he's trying to make. He's just purging because it's his right to do so. He offers Ethan Hawke a deal. Basically, he has some equipment on the way, and once it arrives, they're going to break in and kill everybody inside. But if Ethan Hawke hands over the vet, the Freaks will let the entire family live. You should trust him. I see a lot of myself in him. He's definitely not lying. The two adults begin searching the house for the vet, who manages to get Zoe as a hostage. He is confronted by Ethan Hawke and Cersei Lannister, who overpower him so they can turn him over. The next scene involves the two of them torturing the homeless man into submission so they can hand him over to the gang. I call this Tuesday, except I get $200 out of it. These people need to step up their game. This does cause them to realize the depravity they've been forced into, and they decide not to hand him over. Now the real juicy stuff can start. The special equipment arrives, and it turns out all you need to take down a fortified state-of-the-art purge security system is a truck and some chains. The Freaks storm the house, and it's up to Ethan Hawke to fight them off. The way this scene plays out is a bit confusing, because almost immediately he guns down two of them. But for the rest of this scene, the purgers stalking the halls are all just completely casual. Like, they don't seem to care at all that the guy they're looking for has a gun and has already killed two of them. Because of this, he's able to kill about 10 more before the Polite Leader stabs him. As Ethan Hawke lays bleeding, his daughter kills the Polite Leader. Rest in peace, sweet prince. This franchise will never know another name like yours. The Freaks surround the surviving family members but are wiped the fuck out by their neighbors. Instead of freeing the family, the neighbors plan to kill them. Early in the film, it was alluded to that the neighbors held some disdain for Ethan Hawke's family, as they had a very successful year profiting off of selling them the home security systems. Now we get another moment of someone swooping in to save the day when the vet takes one of the neighbors hostage and forces them to stand down. Cersei Lannister holds everyone at gunpoint and refuses to give in to the cycle of killing, waiting for the purge to come to an end. And that's the Purge. This is a movie with a lot to say. Shit thinks it's like They Live, or To Kill a Mockingbird, or Get Out, or Brazil, or Falling Down. The Purge is about a lot of things in our society: class divide, exploitation, racism, and the dangers of complacency. But when it's all said and done, what does it do or say other than acknowledging all those issues? Ethan Hawke and his family are complacent in this world. They're ambivalent to the concept of the Purge because it doesn't affect their upper-class gated community. They only begin to care when it comes knocking at their door. Ethan Hawke is forced to participate in the Purge to a small degree, but it's entirely against his will. The decision he's faced with is sacrifice an innocent man he doesn't know, or have his entire family and the innocent man get killed when they inevitably get in. Choosing to hand over the man to protect his family is a decision that many people would make in that situation. In fact, I've seen a lot of people argue that it's a logical decision that they would make it themselves. As a character, he is absolved of all guilt brought on by his complacency and his choice to hand over the vet, meaning he never has to question his ideology. Yeah, he questions what he's doing once him and his wife are fucking torturing the guy, but this is a decision he's being forced to make by a group of maniacs. I think this concept would have worked better if the villains were revealed to be his neighbors from the start. In this scenario, his career choice to use the Purge to exploit his neighbors directly causes the siege on his house. His complacency and participation in part of the system is the direct cause of his situation. Another issue with the way this movie presents itself is that the neighbors are just jealous of the wealth he's made off of them. We never see or are told that they are doing much worse because of this. From what we see, everyone is still doing extremely well. This movie was probably thought up during the housing market crash, so I'm not sure why we aren't shown that the neighborhood is kind of suffering recently. Maybe people could be losing their homes. And maybe instead of making the boyfriend character an 18-year-old, he could be a lower class individual, and Ethan Hawke just wrongly assumes he's a troublemaker. And over the course of the movie, he can slowly come to realize that the system he's so dedicated to has eroded his ability to see the humanity in people. So that was The Purge. It's a humble little movie looking back at it.
Sometimes the biggest projects can have the smallest beginnings. But you can always look back at the start and see the little seeds before they sprouted into fully grown ideas, before they sprouted into weeds that grew and spread across an entire company, eventually infesting every production and becoming the filter every new film has to go through.
But that's all for now. We're going to review the other two of these Purge movies for Halloween, just like last year. You know the deal. But stick around and subscribe and do all that. I have to go talk to the sweatshop workers now. Alright, goodbye.